Right. So this is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for January 31st, 2019. So we're going to close out a very bullish January here. Qs are up 1.25% just about, and the SPY 0.67. Okay, I got about 15 minutes, a little more than 15 minutes left to go here. Nice uptrend here. Let's take a look at the daily. We did shift to a bullish bias yesterday. I wanted to see some pushback, but we did not get any at all. I wanted to see an inside day or even a little bit of an hourly pullback, and we just continued from yesterday. So still bullish here. We are running into some resistance here, and we are extended on the hourly. So, while I don't think it's good timing to start initiating longs here, I have to be bullish. Okay. So neutral to bullish on the market here. We can't really be bearish. We'll see if the Amazon earnings throws a wrench into things, changes this picture up a bit. Okay. Next area of resistance for the Qs is going to be around 171.50, and then on the SPY we're looking at 200 may serve as some resistance, but just based on this daily bar here, around 278.80. Okay, so. SPY has a lot of room to go, and so once we get the Amazon earnings out of the way, we'll get a better picture here. Okay, so if the market comes back in, we do have some support. We have a rising 20 on the Qs, same with the SPY. That corresponds with the base that we broke out of, the bottom of the base. So just going to be neutral to bullish moving forward, and as we have been for the last week or so since earnings season started, right? The conviction on these biases is not that strong because any kind of surprise could change this picture. But based on what we have here, okay, we'll remain bullish as we did yesterday. Okay, a couple calls from me today as far as day trades go. Had the flex as an initial call, was looking for this to transition out of an early downtrend here. I like this first attempt at a buy setup. I don't play the first buy setup if something's getting sold at the open, right? So what I can play is if this low holds, we get a high here, and then we get a higher low, and then I can enter on the higher high. So here, I was looking for this to be a higher low. So the call was, the stop was going to be 990 and the entry was going to be over 1010. Okay. And then looking for high of the day as a target one. And then maybe, just maybe, we will get further into this void here on the daily. But ended up selling off. That's why I wait for the secondary entry. So no harm, no foul on this one. Was a call here. It just didn't trigger. Okay, on the FLEX. All right, so that was the first call, was a long, thought the market was bullish. And then as we got later into the morning there, as we were getting a little bit closer into lunch, the Qs had already had a nice run up there, right? So as we were getting into lunch, I wanted something with relative weakness, right? We talked about like the MIK yesterday, something like that. Showing a lot more weakness than the Qs. Okay, so that's why we went after the CNX. Okay, whether you play breakdowns or sell setups or both, this you have to like. You have to like the CNX. I feel like, we don't get perfect patterns every day, but this to me was pretty ideal. Okay. Now, I did call this initially and had to cancel it because initially the stop was going to be 71. Yeah, initially the stop was going to be 71, right, based on this green bar, and I was looking to see if we come back in, okay, from there. And so then once this triggered, that would be good. 5 minutes pointing down, and then we'd be underneath the 2 minute. Okay. And then it broke out above that instead. So then I had to recall it. And then once it was I called it, looked like it wanted to go up again. So I canceled. And then finally we got the setup that we wanted, which was now underneath the 20 MA, right? Now under 60 by 72, okay? And so this is where it triggered, okay? Trigger, target 1 was low of the day, and target 2 should have been end of day, but I didn't get filled. So it was tough to get filled on the CNX. There was a chance to play it again here as it gave us a sell setup. And, you know, that would have been nice too. I didn't go after it. In all honesty, I was a little bit discouraged by not getting filled on this. I do know some people in the room did get filled on it, so I'm glad this worked out. And then I just told them to just take it. And once it got to 35 was the first target, I said just take the whole thing there. So I think some people kind of did re-enter it and play it again. That was the CNX, right? Once we got underneath the 20 MA on the 5, we got underneath the 20 MA on the 2 here. This became pretty ideal. See this? So here, at first it was kind of basing above, right? And then once we got back in, so this did get called 3 times. The first couple times were canceled, and then once it came in the third time, it was like, okay, now we don't have a choice. We have to play it. So, you know, I tried to get it. Once it broke 60, I had a limit at 57. And then once it got to 50 or so, I think 51, I took my order down. I figured it wasn't coming back. So, yeah, that was the CNX was a call for the room. But this was okay also to hold for the end of the day. So I went over, it's an old article now on how I pick what symbols will be all-day trends. And so once I'm in something and it's working out well, sometimes you want to take targets, maybe you're up 2 Rs, 3 Rs, right, 2 or 3 times your risk. And you want to decide whether or not to hold it until the end of the day. And so there are 5 things that I look for when trying to pick something for the end of the day, whether or not it's worth holding some till the end of the day on a day trade. First is going to be this daily gap. Is there a gap? Is there potential for someone to have expected something or been bullish and to be trapped? Okay, so that's first. So we do have a gap here, right? That's the difference between the previous day's closing price and today's opening price. Next, are we changing a weekly trend, right? And what has this been doing over the recent weeks? Has been moving up. So because this has been moving up and breaking down now and breaking that uptrend, right? That's pretty good. That's what I want. I want this a reversal of a recent weekly trend. The next thing is going to be, are we getting above average volume? Okay, that means to me that people from other time frames are stepping in. That maybe not just your average day in and day out market makers or scalpers, but people who are looking at this weekly chart who are saying, what a nice sell setup here, right? Oh, maybe I should short some, or maybe I should give up on my long here, right? Are also getting involved. So not just the people who are trading this each and every day or every other day, people who don't trade this maybe, or in a position from weeks and months ago are now getting involved. So that's what this huge volume is. That's what I want to see, because those trends can be maintained, right? Because you have enough people participating in it to get it to continue. The next thing I want to see is relative weakness to the market. And that was part of the initial play from the get-go, is that CNX got sold, did a sell setup, looks like this. And you can see it's still at the lows. And what was the Qs doing at this time? Qs or SPY, take your pick, right, in the morning, just in an all-out uptrend, right? Qs, SPY. And then the last thing that I'm looking for of the 5 is that we get pullbacks and bases. So we get retracements and bases. Okay, so of course, it's much more gratifying and almost easier that when you get in something, it just falls apart, right? But usually, in order for this all-day trend to be maintained, you're going to have to see some kind of correction so that it doesn't get ahead of itself. So it doesn't exhaust, the sellers don't all exhaust themselves at once. And so those are going to be the ones that can continue moving lower into the close and maintain, this kind of thing without getting too extended, right? So you have a sell set up here, a base, and then a breakdown, another sell set up here, right? So that's helping to keep this move going, right? And so then what I use to stay in it is I use the hourly chart. So I just trail that last runner piece. Maybe it's just a quarter, and I just trail the hourly bar by bar. Okay, so then, that way, you have a place to manage to trail. Let's see, like the MIK, for instance, would have trailed out shortly after lunch, I think, on this green bar, would have trailed you out there. But that was looking pretty good too. So, and it's going to go for the longs, right? We played that TME a week ago, right, on this day here. And so this hourly chart, that's going to keep you in until the close, right? If it wants to keep going. Now, sometimes, we'll get trailed out of something over lunch. The hourly will trail, right? It didn't want to keep going. That's fine. But for the ones that I do want to stay in, that's how I manage after I take those first targets or first couple targets. Okay. I thought CNX was the one today, really the one that, stuck out to me, the one that I need to play every opportunity that I get. But it just ended up being that it was hard to get filled on. And that's just, that's the uptick rule for you. It's going to be part of the challenge of playing shorts. And even on the long, sometimes they don't get filled. They pop really hard. They skip over your limit order, just get skipped over. So, those were a couple from today. I know Sammy into the afternoon here also had a nice call on the DWDP here. On this short here to roll over. Nice gap here on this one as well. All right, so this would be another one. I'd expect this to close at the lows, right? Based on the criteria I gave you before, right? This one should be able to, something that if you get in it short, it's working, that you can kind of hold on to a runner to expect this to close at the lows, okay? So hopefully you find that helpful. And, I know these examples where I was all using shorts, but long, same thing. Yeah, like that TME. You can hold a runner on something like that as well. All right, so we'll remain bullish here on the Qs and SPY, just not a good time to initiate new longs here, being extended on the hourly up into resistance on the daily. Okay, but we'll be focused on the people reporting tonight and tomorrow morning to see what other day trades we get. Okay, so we'll see what the market gives us tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. All right, have a great evening.